I'm going to get started with a question for Jamie. We'll challenge her right off the beginning. So Jamie, we want to do exchanges out of lots, but we're afraid of the accounting. Should we
Oh,
still be afraid of the accounting to perform exchanges in lots?
do not fear about the exchanges in lots. On the exchange options, in one single version of Quantum, there was a flag here that was called transfer out of lot on exchange. The lot costing principles and the exchange costing principles often conflict, right? So at some point you have to make a decision as to how you want exchanges to cost, or which costing mechanisms to follow. There's no way to land on a happy medium of how we wanted it to work, not transfer out of lot on exchange. And so we have set everybody up to transfer out of lot on exchange. What that means for accounting and for costing is that the exchange transaction is still going to be tracked to the lot. You'll still see the sale there. You'll still see the cost of sold items. But when a user transfers out of lot on exchange, let's say it's an apply RO cost item and it's been repaired for $1,000, the person who is reserving the item to the sale needs to be smart enough to look at the stock line, to notice the unit cost in the reservation field, and when they reserve it, it's going to ask them how much cost do you want to assign to this, right? So then you manually assign the cost that you want on that exchange transaction. So that was a lot of talk, not a lot of showing. Maybe you want to...
Thanks, Jamie. I guess I'm going to end up with a follow-up question, because if you're transferring out of lot for exchange, how are you managing consignment exchanges, or you're just not?
Well, we say transfer out of lot on exchange, but all that means is that the lot margin is not tracing. If you're worried about consignment will be calculated.
Okay.
So only so that the costing mechanism for exchanges is not driven purely by the margin in the header.
Okay, understood. So Jay, I'm going to get you to take over from here if you don't mind. Are you able to read the question from Carly there, and have Jamie walk us through some examples?
Sounds good. Will do.
Thank you so much, Jay.
Looks like we have Yep, you bet. Thank you. Everyone, yeah, you can enter, like Tara said, you can take yourself off mute, ask the question for everyone, or just like you can see here on the app, just enter a question at the bottom, and we'll get to all the questions. We have a question here. It says, how do you change the sales category and department defaults in the sales order header?
So if you're talking about a sales category default, I actually would control that through the number logs. So when I set up automated numbering, I have an option on the sales order number log. I'm going to edit first to set up both department and sales category. Now, if I was going to set this up as the airframe department, which is not likely, but we'll just go with it, and it's project 1, then I can rename this number log to airframe project 1, so that the user, the front-end user, will notice what department and category it's for, right? If I'm not into having separate sales order numbers, I want them all to be sequential, then what I can do is also set it up so that it has the exact same last number as the other segment there, as the other number log. And then maybe I choose batteries, and this is, I don't know, part purchased. Okay, So now I have 2 sales order number logs for the same accounting company. And when I go to add a sales order, oh, that's not a good sales order. Let's see, what other name could I use? And I'm not going to put anything in here. I'm not going to put the category. I'm not going to put the department. You'll see here that all I have to do is pick from a list of descriptions now. So when I pick that, it will assign both the department and the category in the header.
Okay. Yeah, I think, yeah, we've, I'm with Intertrade under Collins Aerospace, and we've been on Quantum since 2013. And certainly the list of all of the different sales order prefixes has grown. So, we have a laundry list of, SO1, SO2 for, specific, specific customer or a specific business, et cetera. We have the same for our ROs and POs. And now certainly and now everything, once you discontinue, like if you had like a PO 2 and you didn't want to use that anymore, certainly you can't remove it from the historical data. So we, have to rename the description, I believe, like, do not use, etc. So you just gotta, I think we've learned just to be, aware of how many of these you're creating and, only allowing certain folks have access to this, obviously, just so you can keep all of the data nice and clean.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like a little bit of overuse of prefixes on your POs and sales orders. Maybe people have gotten used to that. They like to see that or like to separate it or whatnot.
Yeah.
You can, however, you don't need to rename it to do not use. You can, if it's a duplicate number log, so I had airframe and batteries, I actually can just come in here and delete the number log, and then that way it never gets used again.
Okay. Good to know. All right. Well, I think that answers that question. I think Carly let us know if you need more information on that or if that didn't answer it, but I think that checked the box there. We have another question here. When using kits on a sales order as an exchange to send out multiple unserialized parts, is there a way to break down the kit after it is returned, or no, since it's a new stock line?
Let me reread that question. When using kits on a sales order exchange to send out multiple unserialized parts, is there a way to break down the kit after it is returned, or no, since it's a new stock line? Well, breakdown kits, I don't know if you have the shop module, but the teardown work order is actually great for tearing down kits. Do you have the shop module, Brad?
Yeah, we do.
Okay. So if I take any kit and I add it onto an internal work order and I mark it as a teardown, what that allows me to do is reserve that returned kit here, right? And then I have a template for that kit that is all my kit components. And then when I check this teardown box, what that does is it locks down all the bill of materials to be only turn-ins. So I can't do anything else. It's not like I'm going to replace it. If I was actually going to replace parts and make it a complete kit again, then I would just uncheck the teardown box.
Okay.
And then I could switch out kit components. Make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
But now, is that going to like pull the cost through and everything as well?
Yes. So whatever that exchange came back as, that will be your starting cost for the work order. If you don't have this box checked, the work order, you can close the work order without actually allocating without actually allocating any cost to the kit component that you turned in and maybe the cost of the kit now doubles for one of the components. But do the teardown type, right? And you're literally want to tear down those kit components, put them back into inventory. Then this will force actually to allocate all of the cost from that main component down onto the kit component.
Okay, is there a setting to turn on that teardown? Because ours is blanked out.
There shouldn't be. Can you right click and show hidden?
No, like it's there. It's just it's grayed out.
Oh, you need to have it as an internal type. Maybe you're defaulted it at
No, I changed it to the internal type, but it still didn't ungray it out.
it could be a security setting. It could be a number of things. I don't think that we put in like a control setting for it. Maybe though. It would be on the main page if we did.
It might be a user setting for me. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it could be user setting. So oftentimes things grayed out in Quantum. It could be that you don't have security rights to get to it. You're not an administrator with full rights. Maybe you just want to talk to your administrator, or we could connect after the session and I could show you how to set that up.
Okay.
Now there is a kind of process for that. So,
I have a question. I have a question that goes along with Brad's question about the kits, and if you're doing an exchange on a kit, a Type 6 exchange, it opens up an internal work order, and you're saying if we have the rights to do click the tear down button, so that kit will get unbuilt when the work scope gets completed through the shop, the cost will go to each individual part from the kit, correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah, you have an option to allocate the cost to each of the parts. So let's take a look at, maybe let's get into a little bit of detail on that.
Because what I'm wondering is when the parts get turned in, say we have 10 parts that are on the kit, right? That are in the kit, and then when that internal work order gets opened up, it gets opened up as the kit. You put the modify part number to whatever the part number is that you want it to be, and then when you close out when the overhaul gets completed and you go to close out the work order, release the work order, each individual part now there will be 10 parts, but is that 10 stock lines, or is that one stock line with 10 parts in it?
Well, it depends on what you're trying to accomplish. If you're trying to do a teardown, it would be you have the kit part number here, and then you would turn it. This kit part number goes away. That stock line goes away at the end of the process, and you're left with only the kit components. You don't use modify part number for that. Now, if you are truly swapping out, components and you're creating a new kit, then maybe you use a modify part number for that to create a different kit number. But
see, what we do is when we send out like the non-serialized part, like Brad had mentioned, we created a kit part number for it. So it could be 1, 2, 3, 4 kit, and then when it comes back as 1, 2, 3, 4 kit. But 1, 2, 3, 4 kit is not the actual part number. It's 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay. So if you're not trying to break down your kits, you're not trying to actually take your kit apart and put the components back into inventory. You're just trying to modify the part number on the kit.
No, we want the parts to come back as 1, 2, 3, 4 to put them back into stock.
He wants to break down the kit.
Yeah.
He does want to. Okay. All right. So let's see if we have a little teardown task here. Sure. Did I mark this as teardown? Yes. All right. Now you'll notice here that when I'm adding bombs, of course you could put this on a template. It doesn't have to be done like this. But when I'm modifying the BOMs here, you'll see I can't change the disposition. The disposition is locked down as turn-in. You do have some options to set up list prices and then split out the cost proportionately based on these prices that are listed there, or a few different options for costing. So in the parts management tab, I then go to, oh, I'm going to turn all these in. Let's receive our turn-in. There's all my turn-ins. In the parts management menu, I have a quick BOM entry option, which is actually going to say, okay, well, here's my kit cost that came back from exchange. Here's my labor cost for tearing down the kit, and then I can allocate the cost to each of the individual items. I can do that manually, or I can, if I've set it up right, I can, allocate the remaining costs equally amongst all the components or proportionately based on list price, like I was saying, if that's the thing you use, or I can do the total cost equivalently, or I can clear it all and start over again if I add cost later.
Hi, quick question. Where that main component cost, labor cost, and other costs, where did you pull that data from? Or that's just when you're assigning it automatically as you're tearing down the engine?
It actually is assigned automatically. So this main component cost comes from the cost of the exchange core when it came back from the customer. So it's actually the unit cost of the stock line that I've reserved here on the teardown work order as the main component.
It's worth 3 hours of this afternoon if we got one major issue solved.
Sorry, I can't quite make out what you're asking. Can you repeat that? Oh, maybe we lost you. So the main component is coming from the exchange core unit cost. The labor cost is coming from the burden rates if I were to add labor onto this job. So if I come in here, maybe somebody scans against it, and we'll call it Andrew, sure. An hour, right? When I do my entry, you can see that I have an hour's worth of labor cost here. And if I were to add this,
sorry, can you still assign the cost if you're turning in multiple of the same part number, or does that doesn't matter?
Nope, doesn't matter.
Okay.
You can do.
When you close the work order, release the work order, will all the parts be on one stock line, or will you have multiple stock lines of the same part?
Multiple stock lines? It depends. So if you say I'm in a quantity of 2 and you turn in a single stock line, we'll have a single stock line if it's not serialized, right?
Yep.
So if my quantity here was 2, quantity here was 2, and it was non-serialized, then you would have a single stock line for multiple parts, just like the rest of it.
Okay.
Okay, perfect.
The only trick is you will not be able to reconcile unless your remaining cost is 0. So if you haven't allocated your full cost, Quantum says, no, this is not completely torn down, review your cost.
And then you go to allocate your cost, you MU to allocate the cost, and you put the total cost to those 10 parts, and it will separate it as one part is 1/10 of the total.
Right, correct.
Okay.
Correct. You can do that in the allocation. Now, for the the only trick around this, right? It was really built around teardowns, and it won't work for things like big engine teardowns. It works great for kit teardowns because once you turn in the unit, you can't utilize the unit until this costing portion is done. So it's for like quick kit teardown type thing.
That works.
Great.
Thank you.
No problem.
All right. So, no other questions in the queue. Does anyone else, the attendees, any other sort of hang-ups, quirks, gee whiz things as you're, quoting within this module, doing exchanges? Anything that sort of just needs some more insight on or have questions on? By all means, throw them out there. I got a question, Jamie. I guess how are you using? I guess from a sales perspective, I saw a little bit on that Sales Edge. So that's really just mobile quoting. Is that correct? Just from like any device, like if you're traveling in a meeting, that kind of deal, and searching stock lines and all of that.
Right. Correct. I have not.
I didn't know how.
Exposure to the Sales Edge. Well, I haven't played with it myself yet, but yes,
Okay.
That's what I understand.
Gotcha. Is that kind of the response then to kind of what that third-party tool? There's a few of them like Roadable, who I know has been involved in the past, and I think from Intertrade we were looking at implementing that Roadable tool. Basically, it just consolidates all of the RFQs that are coming into you, and you can separate these by sales individual or by region or by customer, or however your sales team is set up, and then you're able to quote from basically any mobile device. It feels like those are kind of one and the same, or they're kind of the similar tool.
Similar, and I'm sorry that I don't know all of the ins and outs of the differences between those two tools. They're pretty new.
Yeah, no worries. Just curious. It looks promising. I think just from being in sales myself, just being able to look at inventory, from a phone, and without having to be logged into your company network and pulling up Quantum, all of that. It's just a lot more efficient, faster. Anything else that anybody has within sales exchanges? We've had a number of issues over the years. It seems like we've sort of leveled out, if you will. A lot of the things have been resolved or solved in the recent releases, so that's been a good thing. Here's a question. So this is related to sales. So what's in Quantum available to control export compliance? So Jamie, I'll let you share anything, just standard that is available. And then, whoever asked this, I guess it's Thing, is it, Ruan? We have being within Rockwell, or I guess Collins Aerospace, and then we are part of, that's like under the old United Technologies, and now we're Raytheon. We have a fairly robust export compliance and all of the regulations that go along with that. But we have done a lot of customization with component control within our Quantum to satisfy all of that. So I'd be more than happy to kind of show you offline, or go through some stuff with you to kind of show you what we have to adhere to and how we manage that in Quantum. But I'll certainly let Jamie, obviously the expert here, kind of show you in this version what is available. I'd like to see that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. There's one enhancement that is new, that one of our customers had worked with one of our developers on to develop, but it was very specific to them, and you have to use some codes, and this is a little while ago, so it's not new to this version. It's actually been in there for a little bit, so I'm looking for that reference right now. Bear with me just a minute. If I remember right where it's at. Not in that folder. Let me go here. No, it's not in there either. Well, let's dive in and see if we can find where that setup was. I don't think it was in inventory settings. I'm sorry, I don't remember this either because there was quite a bit of setup involved, and then there's you have to have regions set up in the system. Let me see if I can find where he put that. I actually have not implemented that anywhere. So it was like one exception, one enhancement, but I have not been able to make it work for anybody but that one client. So
Okay.
let's see.
Yeah, so like while you're looking for that, like for us, let's say like if you search for a part in your part master, search master part, and say I was going to take a look at look up an air intake cowl or whatever part number it is. Once you are viewing that part number in Quantum on the inventory screen, you can see stock summary, sales order history, customer quote history. Basically, it's the, I guess it's not the inventory screen. It's more like within like the like, I guess it's the inventory master. It's basically all the information when you search a part in Quantum. If you hit the hotkey V, I think, to view, within there you see a few tabs like main, additional, attributes, and manufacturing. So there's an attributes tab, I think, that contains a whole lot of international trade compliance. So we've gone and used the user-defined fields and fields that are available out of the box within, our version of Quantum. And within this international trade compliance, we have areas where we can put the country of manufacturer, the HTS code, the Schedule B code, the license group, the ECCN, the ITAR. We have a drop down that says this part was validated by, and you can pull in the different employees who are responsible for validating this part number. There's a field for validated date, the date that this part was validated. There's a comment section, and then there's like another. So anyways, there's a whole lot of information that we can capture within a part on the inventory master. And then of course, when we go to quotes and we go to ship, if we're exporting it, there's some ways around us controlling, who we're selling to. Like if we're selling to a customer, we have to make sure that they're properly screened against sort of a global database that says, this customer is, legitimate and not fraudulent. There's no, penalties against them. It's called like MK denial, I believe. So within Quantum, for our international trade compliance, we can't ship or export anything that doesn't have all the certain checkboxes, and then we can't ship it to a customer that doesn't have an MK denial screening that is captured in Quantum. So we have all these controls along the way that I'd be more than happy to kind of show you if it's something you're interested in.
Great, Jay. Thank you.
Were you able to find what you were looking for there, Jamie, or?
I did not. I did not
No.
find the document that I was looking for. Don't
Word.
know where it is. I will be happy to share that with the group. I'll put my email address in the chat, and I'll be happy to share it with you after session if you want to email me for it.
Sounds good. And I'll put my email in here as well if anyone wants to take a look at international trade compliance and how we sort of customize Quantum to address that.
Yeah, it sounds like you're using the attribute tab, so all the customization.
Yeah, I think we've used what is there. I'm not as close to it as I once was. It's more in sales, but yeah, we worked with our IT folks to sort of use what was there and then go in and sort of customize and build it the way we need it. So, all right. So the next question is how. So we went through export compliance, what controls are available, and then how to flow such restriction down from the part to the sales and shipping. We touched a little bit on that, I think. So, you kind of, each part has to have, all, for us, like all the international trade compliance attributes with the different HTS, country manufacturer, Schedule B, ECCN, license groups, all of that. So that's all done on the part side. And that all has to be, up to date. There's a validated code. So when I go into Quantum and to quote a customer a specific part, I need to make sure that the certain check boxes are there saying like, this part is, been blessed, if you will, and we are able to export and sell this because it's been validated by an export individual. So there's some, again, it's probably easier to show you than me just talking about it, but that's how we just, like I just sort of stepped through, we have a sort of a process how to sort of capture it at the part and then make sure that the proper gates are in place that, on the sales quoting side and sale and shipping side to make sure that everything is in order.
Yeah.
And then,
more functionality, the export license, right, being required at the company level. There's no real way to do a combination of like, I'm shipping a specific part to Germany, and in Germany it's considered a military related part and to require different certifications, which is what that new enhancement did that I'm unable to show you, but I have the export license required here, which of course works better in combination with the shipping management module, right? So I can add more settings in my shipping management module.
Okay. Yeah, and I think it is slight, I think there is a standard out there for all of this international trade compliance, but I think each company does it a little different, So I don't think it's quite as, there's not a lot into her question there. It's a little limited on what you're able to kind of do within Quantum without customizing. And so her comment was, and I think everyone would agree that, and maybe this will just happen over time as it just gets a little bit more robust. But I think it's a little different for each company maybe, and it's just hard maybe to standardize that within Quantum. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I believe that there's more that we want to do with export compliance. For sure. Take a step back and take a look at it. I don't believe it's on the roadmap for this year.
Okay. Sounds good. Let's see here. So I'll reach out to Ruan here, who had the expert questions, and sort of get more detail after this or next week or at some point. And then,
Thank you, Jay.
so let's see here. Yeah, you bet. Next question is, can you go through an example of a RO and work order exchange?
Sure. Like a standalone repair order.
Feels like it. I guess can you go through.
The repair order is linked to the work order, and we decide that the original part, I'm sorry, the repair order, the stock line in the repair order is not going to make it back to the engine. And we're going to use one from stock to exchange it. So kind of an example, I want to see how the cost will transfer between the two stock lines.
Okay. You have a couple options on that. Let's see what's available here. Let's see this guy. It's a $300 engine, super cheap, not serialized. And the question was, if I have a bomb that is set up to be repaired, okay. So either the repair is not going to be completed in time, or it's BER, and now we need to exchange our own unit. Is that what we're saying?
Yes.
Great. So one option is actually to delink the repair altogether. So if you're not going to charge them for the repair at all, we can come in and we can delete the link to the repair, and we can just change this to a replace type. So there goes the repair cost. It's no longer going to be billed to the customer. And all I'm going to do is edit the BOM and switch it. Okay. And that way I can take an item from inventory and I charge them as I typically would for any other consumable or part issuance. The other option is quite a bit more complex, which is system exchanges, right? So with system exchanges, and you can see that here in your little bill of materials tab, I have a system exchange option. So this is my last option on the BOM disposition. So with system exchanges, basically what we did is we actually built this for AppMax to handle BOM exchanges as though it were like a sales exchange, for example. So I'm going to bill for the cost of that repair. So I turn it in. Either the repair isn't going to be complete in time, it could be a sub work order, or it could be an external repair, and it's not going to be completed in time, and so I need to replace from inventory. So this method actually will charge the customer an estimated cost of repair up front, right, as though it is a flat rate exchange. And so it's going to bill this estimated cost of repair by inserting unrealized repair into the WIP log as cost so that I can mark it up. I can bill it however I want. Did you want to see that process, or is that a little more complex than what you were thinking?
No, I do. That's actually the process I want to see.
Great. Okay. Let me check my settings here. Oops, I do not want that work pack open. So if I go into the bottom tab, I have all my system exchange settings here. So in my costing method, am I going to transfer the cost of whatever's issued as the replacement? Typically, people are using these two settings here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. We can either prompt to launch RO or prompt to launch work order or do neither. I need to choose the repair charge, and I'll show you how all this affects what we're doing here. So I'm going to just do, what am I going to do? Labor overtime, sure. Why not? I could do a markup on the repair if I wanted to. I can always expense the cost of the repair. And this is kind of a way to get it to wash. So that's an advanced setting, to be honest. So when I do an unrealized repair, I'm actually responsible for going back and determining what needs to be reconciled and what balances out. But if I always expense the RO cost and I don't use ROs for calibration, on the accounting side, I actually can set it up so that it will wash through unrealized repair when the repair is completed. So I turn in an item, it's on repair. I need to close the work order and bill the customer for repair before the repair is complete. So accounting wise, there's an unrealized repair portion when I bill the customer, and then when the repair is completed, I need to clear that unrealized repair. Quantum does not do that automatically, but you can set it up so that it would do it automatically. So let's see what we have here. I'm going to, and are you interested in the accounting side?
Yes, please.
Or, okay, good. I don't want to get into too much detail that you don't want to see. 5609. So this is actually going to cost of goods sold other, right? So I would assume that that was set up for like tool calibration or something similar. I actually really like RO expense for tool calibration, so you kind of have to choose the lesser of the evils here. It can only be one or the other. So I'm going to put it instead to, where am I going to put it? I'm going to add an account here. Okay, come on. So I'm going to put my RO expense to unrealized repair, and I'm also going to put my unrealized repair to unrealized repair. This way, when I complete that third-party repair, it will actually clear against itself. I'm going to add another bomb. And we'll do it for the same part number. Why not? Enter it in. Put my eval fee in there. I raise the repair. And now down the road, this is not ready, and I need to review it. So in order to switch this, I'm actually going to edit the line item, and I'm going to change it to a system exchange. And doing that allows me to reserve another part, right, and issue it while transferring the cost of that part to the new unit. Now I have a system exchange activity. Obviously, nothing accounting has happened so far because I've done a turn in at 0. All I've done is change the disposition, all right? So I'm going to go ahead and reserve some stock. And hopefully I have stock with cost. I don't. That's fine. That's fine. Everything's fine. So let me add a stock line with cost. Yeah, I will do 1750. Sure, why not? Oh, I actually might have to log out and log back in. So a repair charge was not raised when I switched that to a system exchange and issued the part, and a repair charge should have gone on the work order when I did that. So bear with me just a minute.
Your version 12.2 makes our 10.9 look pretty old.
Yeah, I know. Fancy new splash screen, right?
Yep.
Hey guys, I'm jumping back. How's it going?
We're walking through a system exchange. You should just take over from here.
Oh, I don't have control. You do.
This is Tara's enhancement. So there's my labor overtime charge, which is my repair charge. So and this charge says repair. So that's the cost of my repair that I'm going to charge the customer. And you remember that I set that up in the part number, right? So now I have an estimated cost of repair on this inventory. I've turned one in. It's on the repair order. And then I've also issued a replacement part. You'll see that when I issued the replacement part, which was $17.50, the cost did not go into WIP. The cost actually went to the core. So when I set that setting in work order control, I was telling it transfer the cost of the unit to the core. What you see in the WIP log is issued stock along with subtracted issued stock because I'm not actually costing out the cost of this item. I'm not expensing it. I'm not billing it. And what I'm doing is I'm transferring the cost of that unit onto the core that I'm keeping in the customer. This is my estimated repair cost. So my estimated repair cost was $1,000. Now I'm done with this work order. I bill it out. I can see in my work order activity that on the bottom of the screen, I have a WIP entry against unrealized repair, right? So I'm not going to bill out the work order because we don't actually need to for this demo session, but I am going to complete the repair. So now I'm by or whatnot, and I know the cost of my actual repair. and let's say I was spot on, or I'm $100 over. Say $100 over. So this is where having the RO expense set to unrealized repair will allow you to have repairs wash through unrealized repair. Go here. So now you can see that, okay, well, Quantum recognized that $100, right, but cleared the unrealized repair account, put it into goods received, not invoiced. And then it said, oh, well, you're $100 over what you estimated, so I'm going to put that $100 on the core. And now my core should be worth $1,850 because I transferred the $1,750 from the sold item and I've increased it by $100.
This will happen only if I haven't closed the work order and released it, correct?
Haven't closed. This happens no matter what if you use the system exchange process. It has nothing to do. See, I haven't released it. If you've already released it, it also will not pick it up. So it's separate now. So the core is separate.
Okay.
Same thing whether you release it or not.
If you set it up as a work order, a repair order, and then do the turn-in, then do the exchange, it won't do the automatic charges either. It wants to be exchanged all the way from the beginning.
Say that again, Tara.
It doesn't work so great if you don't set up an exchange right at the beginning. If you set it up as a repair, do the turn-in, it doesn't do the automatic charges. Sorry, my mic is all garbage. I'm gonna mute myself.
That is exactly what we just did in 12.2 though, so maybe it's a version issue for you. I got the charge. That's exactly the scenario we did. We started out with a repair and then we modified it to an exchange.
Oh, yeah, that's probably a version issue. Sorry about that. Jumping in late. That's my sorry.
Okay.
Jamie, can you show us how the that new ILS, the big blue button, works in a sales scenario?
I can't. I should have prepared with all the new enhancements, but I haven't even been briefed on how ILS is working, to be honest.
Okay.
Brian Gohildy would be a better resource for that. I haven't played with this, and I haven't played with the sales side either one of those new enhancements. Sorry about that.
No worries. Yeah, just curious. I think they were saying it, you know, if you're searching a part number, maybe if we had 0 stock, then we could click that and it will show on a screen who is broadcast, you know, who's stocking that part, and we could just save a step to log into ILS separately, which would be neat.
Jay, ILS, Component Control ILS created us a video for this conference. So if you check out our video presentations we released this morning, there's a special video in there on ILS Bridge.
Okay, perfect. Yep. All right, let's see here. Does just time check? I think we're 5 minutes out from 3 p.m. Central. Gone through a number of questions here. Does anyone else who's on the call, any other questions for Jamie or anyone else, you know, within the sales, exchange, etc.?
Well, this video will be available in the Q group.
Yes, this will be available later. It's being recorded now.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's automatically going to email to you after the session, but we're also going to post it on the Q group for everybody that didn't get a chance to register.
Perfect. So yeah, I know I owe Ruan here, some questions, some more detail on the international trade compliance, export compliance. So I sent you a note here, but I don't know if she's still on or not, but I'll reach out to her separately. I would imagine, you know, obviously if anyone else has any other questions that you don't want to, you know, raise here, you know, the Cube Group forum, you know, the web page, being a Cube Group member, it's a great resource to, you know, go out, pose a question, you know, lean on the user group community to kind of, you know, answer your question, show us, you know, how, you know, learn how others do it, that kind of thing. But an answer to your issues is usually, you know, a few steps away. So I don't know if you had anything else specific, Tara, that you wanted to address or ask. So I think I don't have any other questions here in the queue.
Okay.
I have a question.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
The other sessions that we were not able to attend because we were attending these, are they available on the Q Group website as well?
They will be. The conference session that we're using, it takes an hour or so to create the video. So we'll try and turn those around as fast as we can and get them up there. And, watch for an email from us, and we'll let you know the roundtable videos are available.
Perfect. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Then the only other thing is, if you haven't had a chance to look at the Attendify app, we're trying to give away a bunch of really cool free stuff because Component Control was super generous to us this year. So we're, you know, if you are interested in, there's not a lot of people participating, so the chances of winning are pretty high. So I encourage you guys to pop over to Attendify and try and win some of those prizes. We're giving away ILS bridge license, a LMS online learning license, and a Sales Edge, a mobile app license. That's all from Component Control. And then from Q Group, we got a Nintendo Switch going on those contests. So if you're interested and you have a bit more time, it's a fun place to socialize. So we encourage you guys to head over after the show and try and win something.
Thanks, Tara.
Perfect. Sounds like a good deal.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us. Our virtual event is a little bit difficult to try and get this going, but I think we did okay. So, thank you, Jamie and Jay, for helping me out with this one.
Yeah, thank you.
No
Jay.
problem. With 1 minute to spare. Good timing.
Well done, everybody. All right. Well,
All right.
happy Q 2020.
Absolutely. Have a good rest of your afternoon, everyone.